Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. How are we
Hello,
on this
Becky.
lovely Monday night? And I say lovely because we actually, the weather is beautiful here. I should be sitting
It,
outside doing this.
I know, right? I actually thought about it and I looked to see if there was a plug. I didn't see one out there, and I would have to drag like the uh so I'm up at the RV park right now. And so the office, and they have a sitting area outside, but there's picnic benches, and I didn't see where I could plug in outside, but anyway, so I'm inside.
Yo, it's it's lovely here. It's like 80 degrees, but we're expecting snow tomorrow into Wednesday. So,
Well, we're 83 here in Texas. So we had to actually turn the air conditioner on in our travel trailer today because it just gets a little miserable in there. So yeah, it's like, all right, guess it's, although this morning we had the heat running because it was too cold.
yep,
I love this time of year.
yep. That
Anyway.
sounds familiar. Sounds like Nebraska weather.
Right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our YouTube followers and to our two Instagrams, our three Facebook pages, to Rumble, to Twitch, and we will be uploading these to iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple. So again, welcome everyone. Everybody can't talk today, apparently, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully everyone has their green on.
And both of us are sitting here with no green on.
Well, I might. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's funny.
Wish
Oh,
wishful thinking.
yeah, right. Yeah, I don't even think I have anything green, at least with us in the travel trailer right now. Um, so we get to change out clothes. We go down to our storage unit and change out clothes. So it's, I have just a few cool clothes, mostly winter clothes. So it's probably getting close to switching out again.
Yep. It is that season where you plan for one in the morning and another one in the afternoon. So you never know how to dress, but
I know I changed twice today, actually 3 times, because I got up and I had my sweatpants on, then I had to change into my work clothes to at least from the right here up because I work virtually, and then I changed again after I was done because I wasn't getting anything on my work clothes, so there we go. Real world problems.
right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
too funny.
Which which yeah, that's the thing though. And I've noticed kind of as I progress through the journey that I'll end up and tolerate the temperatures differently. So I don't necessarily have to, bundle up like I normally would have, because I was always so cold, but I'm
Yeah,
able to tolerate it a little bit better now. So
yeah.
that helps.
So, yes.
So
So
how was your weekend? Did you have a
well, I
good
was just
weekend?
gonna ask you, how was your weekend? Yeah, it was a good weekend. It was, yeah, well, Saturday I had to work to prep for for work this week, and then Sunday we're out on the property, clearing the whole fence row for our eventual electric to come in onto our property. So, yeah, manual labor again.
Yep.
How about you?
That's
How was your weekend?
My weekend pretty much consisted of chores, taxes, and laundry. And no particular order, but that's pretty much what it consisted of. We really didn't have much for plans. Um, so it was just kind of around here. And then my daughter babysits for a family, and she did that Saturday night. And then we ran errands. And of course, next weekend is prom for her already. So we had to go, finish getting a few things for that. And uh, get different things done. And then, like I said, we come home and did laundry. And yeah, exciting, exciting world that we live in. But one
I
of the things
know.
I did, one of the things I did do was Mondays are my meal prep. So, I make my list for that and figure out what I have in the house and then get what I need, which for some, I guess, seemed like a foreign concept because I had shared it on social media of, my shopping list, if you will. And then I had check marks by what I had, because I go through and I figure out, what protein, what carbs, et cetera, et cetera. And then I figure out, okay, what do I have in the fridge? What do I have in the freezer? Such as like my fish. And I had sausage in there. I had bacon in the fridge. I had fish in the freezer. Of course, we just got half a beef. So that was in the freezer in the garage. And then I went through, and figured out what carbs, non starchy and starchy, that I wanted. And what I had, same thing, went through the whole list of my different categories. And it, like I said, I think it was a foreign concept to some on social media, to do it that way because they're like, well, how do you end up in, how do you figure your meals? How do you figure? And it's like, I eat whole foods.
Right.
So, it's the, I don't necessarily make complicated recipes,
Right.
and I know you did meatballs and you were prepping meatloaf, and
Yep.
I mean
Yep.
it.
I made enough for both of us for 4 nights this week. So, literally when I got done working, um, I had the meatloaf ready to go and put it in, and I don't use our oven in the travel trailer because you can't control the temperature. So I actually have a toaster oven. So I put it in the toaster oven, and actually I started it before my last class because it cooks for an hour. And by the time I got done, we were able to eat right away, and my husband ran out to the property, which he's there now. But yeah, it was easy, right? It was like the problem that I have is I have a very small refrigerator, so when I prepped Sunday yesterday, like things were really crammed in there. Like I can't go too far overboard on prepping. So I prep in small doses. It requires me to run to the grocery store a little bit more often, and that's okay. But trust me, when we build our house, I will be back to meal prepping like I used to, because I will have a big refrigerator.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah, it
that's what
does
I
end up and make a difference, with space.
yeah, yeah. And I'm probably an exception to most of, our followers that watch us and watch our social media. But I still did it, right? I still Saturday put my grocery list together, knowing exactly what I was going to make on to prep on Sunday. So I'm done. I don't have to worry about anything until we get to Friday night. And even then, we could throw burgers on the grill or something. There's always options because I always keep extra meat in our little freezer. Um, that way I'm not caught. We are not caught
Mhm.
with having to, oh my goodness, we have to go somewhere to get something to eat because really we don't have anything decent in this small town that I live close to. Um, there's no options really, and so we have to drive an hour to get somewhere, and it's like, yeah, no. It's a good thing, right? Because, when we lived in Houston, it was too easy to go out to get something to eat if I didn't feel like cooking. So, a
Mhm.
different mindset, a different way of living. I like it better.
Yeah, yeah, that that is the difference in, you know I go shopping once a week because yes, I have a wonderful small town grocery store that has like the essentials, right? It's a pretty good stocked grocery store, of course, when you buy in the quantities that I do, because of what I do, it it adds up really quick. I'll put it that way. So we do end up and utilize a larger box store, right?
Mhm.
Um, but when I go to that during the summertime, I will either grow my own or I go to a farmer's market. So I like the aspect of shopping local and being able to get that. But for the essentials, right? I have to
Right.
end up and go to the box store. But yeah, it's a whole different concept because that's one of the things, even in the BNC community, when I put the Friday recipe out or the Foodie Friday, um, I think there was still it was a recipe for garlic butter steak bites.
Mhm.
No, it was the garlic butter chicken. I
Oh,
have like
okay.
three different recipes, and then garlic butter chicken, and then the beef and bacon casserole. And there was maybe a handful of whole food ingredients in there: beef, bacon. I know there was some cheese in there for those that tolerate dairy, but it was like the basic things that most people would end up and have in their home.
Mhm.
And again, the things on my shopping or my meal plan list, people are like, "Well, what are you going to end up and create out of that?" I'm going to end up and make, you know, I made some chicken. So the the list had I'm pulling the list up. It had sausage and bacon because that's my breakfast. Now, I do the long fermented yogurt, and so I'll have, some sausage with some yogurt, or I'll eat sausage and an avocado for some healthy fats. And same thing with the bacon. Well, then I made some chicken. I just sauteed it in some butter. Chicken's very lean, right? So sauteed it in with salt, pepper, garlic, and a little bit of butter. Put the fish in the oven, and then I made a uh, taco meat out of turkey because most of my red meat comes from my dinner meals. So my evening meals are things like ground beef or steak or whatever. Um, but again, I my meal prep was done in like an hour and a half. And that's
Right.
only because I had a whole sweet potato that I was cooking. The sweet potato took a little bit longer, but from beginning to end, I had it pretty much all prepped and ready to go. Um, I had my meat, I portioned it out, I portioned I had green beans, so I did roast those off. My meat's out, I portioned my vegetables out, and yeah, my meal was and that's freeing to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
I put a post up this weekend because for so many years, anyone that knew me, um, we're talking clear back to 2016, 2017, I've always been someone that has tracked.
Yeah.
Um, I've done, different programs, but it's all required weighing and measuring and tracking and macros and, the specifics, right? And so that was really huge. Well, let's even backtrack further. So I did complete elimination too,
Mhm.
which worked for certain things, but it didn't. And you could see it in the pictures, right? We always talk about people
Yeah.
that are only tracking the scale being able to track more than that. And I know I've got it on a YouTube short and I've got it over on other social media. But looking at the difference from where I started to 2 years full elimination, aka carnivore, to then seasonal eating, the difference in those pictures, and I sent them to you,
Oh, yeah.
um, because I still had the round, puffy face, the like swollen eyes or sunken eyes, however you want to end up and refer to it. So you can still see that there was inflammation, there was that insulin resistance going. And then when adrenal, and my thyroid, that was one of the biggest things in that picture too, was you could tell even just in like my neck and my face and my eyebrows, um there was still issues. And
Yeah,
so really it took that shift, if you will, into not fearing. And I think that's where many people end up and fear food, and so then they don't know what to shop for,
right.
you
Well,
know.
and I sometimes, and we've talked about this, people want the Weight Watchers effect,
Mhm.
right? The tell me exactly what to eat and how much. What to eat and how much. Let's go back. How much do I eat of that? Um, and they also don't understand, I see people, clients and people on social media talk about, oh, I eat nuts. Okay. Well, how much nuts are you eating? And or cheese. And I was a bad culprit of that like a couple years ago. I found myself using cheese as a main source of protein. Oh my goodness,
Mhm.
right? But and I see people doing that as well. Now, was it last week or the week before? I did have several days where I had a little bit of cheese, but I cut it right back out. So I'm not, so it was like that week I had some, and then I'm back to I'm not having any dairy right now. Well, I take that back. I'm having my yogurt, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'm not having cheese and I'm not having that kind of stuff. So,
I laugh because that's one of the things I called you out on last
you
week.
did. No, you did. And you
Because
were like,
I
"Why?"
know, yeah, I know your history with the cheese, and when I seen it start coming in, I'm like, and and you had made the comment, "But it's not that much," but I'm like, "But it's in this, you had it on
Mhm.
this,"
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's where it starts to become a problem, is because yeah, we start with just a little slice on a burger, and then it
Mhm.
turns into, oh, that I have this cheese, I could eat it with my eggs for breakfast. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, but I could, and I'm just as guilty because there was a time where I would use it, quote, as a garnish, right? And
Right.
then I would start making like a cheese shell omelet, or cooking and making those little cheese chips or cheese
Yep.
shell tacos, with some taco meat in it, and then you fold it over and it's like a little
Yep.
mini taco. Um, and it was like everything started to revolve around the cheese, and cheese is very addicting. For those that don't know, the casomorphins and the lactose in it light up those receptors,
Yeah.
so there is a true addiction when it comes to cheese and people that can't moderate it. But
Right.
yeah, going back to your yogurt, that's one of the things we both consume for the probiotic aspect and the gut health. um, but I don't overdo it.
Right.
I maybe make a batch of yogurt once a week, if not about every week and a half, maybe. Because there's some days where, like I said, if I
Yeah.
end up and eat the sausage and the avocado, so my yogurt maker that I have linked on my Amazon storefront, um, it makes 8 different containers. Well, I use what they call backslopping, so one of those containers. So essentially, if I ate it every day, I'd have a week's worth. But
Mhm.
I don't necessarily eat it every day when I eat the avocado. So, I still have some and it lasts me, but
Right.
um I can make it. I kind of know when I start to get down to like the last couple that I need to make it, because it goes for 36 hours. So it takes a
Right.
little bit to end up, making a batch. But yeah, it's one of those things that I can take it or leave it, right? I can
Right.
moderate it.
Right.
Um, and that's a big step for many of us too, is being able to moderate foods. Not
Correct.
everyone can end up and moderate their foods. So
Right. And that's where meal prepping comes in,
Mhm,
where you don't have to think. I didn't have to think tonight, right? You didn't have to think tonight. We had it ready.
mm,
I just had to uh, bake it. Like that's it. Here's the thing. So this meatloaf recipe that I have, I've had it for years and years and years, but I swapped out some ingredients like breadcrumbs. I don't put breadcrumbs. I put the pork rinds in it.
mhm.
Can't tell a difference at all. It helps with the binder that is required for the meatloaf. But yeah, it's like it was an easy swap. We were still able to continue to eat. My husband loves my meatloaf, and he can't tell. He loves it. The meatball recipe, which is it's a pizza. It's a meat. You cut up pepperonis in it, and now I will have just a touch of the pizza sauce with it. But that's going to be on my refeed day. That's going to be. I'm going to. I take once 1 week, 1 day a week, and I add the refeed. Um, because I have to have the carbs, right? I have to
Mhm.
have those certain things. Now I have to be very careful how much tomato products that I do or tomatoes I consume because it is a nightshade and it does cause it causes pain in my body. So that will be very limited. But I'm telling you, these little, I think you made them too. I sent you the recipe for those pizza
The pizza.
meatballs.
Mhm.
Hmm. And I'll be honest with you, it satisfied my want for pizza, um, and it's fine. So that's probably what I'll make tomorrow night since they're all ready to go, and then we'll switch back to meatballs, and then we'll switch. We'll do something like that. But yeah, but that refeed is important, and I have to plan it. Like 1 week, I don't know how many weeks ago, I did my refeed the day before I weighed in.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, that's not gonna happen again.
Yeah.
But refeed's important, and the more and more and more, um, I watch people on social medias that are very strict carnivore. I'm starting to identify how they look, and
Mhm.
we've talked about that.
Yep. Well, and that's where being strategic with the seasons, more of the circadian approach, right?
Right.
Because for me, yes, I end up and I put carbs in there, but my carbs transition with seasons. So
Mhm.
my meals are always protein first, right? Making sure that I end up and I have that protein, healthy fats for
Yep.
the mood, the hormones, the satiety factor. Fats help with satiety for me. I know others that get that off of their seasonal carbs, but the seasonal carbs are more for like the thyroid, the energy, the recovery, exercise, with adding my strength training and stuff in, the muscles will uptake that glycogen. So, eating more intuitive, but it also makes a difference like right now, right? The sun during the day, if you will. So we have the UVB window back open,
Mhm.
right? I'm at the latitude where I end up and I lose it um for a couple months during the winter time, unfortunately. But that's when I end up and I pulled most of the carbs out. And I say most because anyone that followed us this winter, we did the MFF challenge, the meat, fats, and the ferments. Well, there's a little bit of carbs in the ferments, not a lot. But now that we have our UVB window back open and our
Mhm.
bodies are able to metabolize some of these carbs a little bit better, it helps with improving that insulin sensitivity. And I know you've been wearing a CGM while you're
Mhm.
incorporating some of these back in, right?
Mhm.
But the exposure to that UVB in that when the sun is above that 30-degree angle and we have that higher UV index and that UVB light helps to also stimulate the nitric oxide production. It helps with improving the blood flow. It helps with the muscles. It helps with enhancing that uptake, just like the exercise does, right? When we end up and we
Yeah.
do strength training, how it uptakes that glucose. Same thing with the sunlight as well. And so it does also, the carbs contain a light code, but which makes our, I'm choosing my words here. The carbs contain a light code. When we end up and we are giving our body that light of information by the way of the foods that we're consuming, it can create a mismatch between our body and what light we're actually in. And so what we're actually seeing by light and what we are experiencing with the foods that we're consuming create more of that insulin resistant, where if we are getting that UVB light and we're, consuming some of these seasonal carbs, that helps to actually lower the insulin resistance. And I know we have a follower that, has been able to incorporate some carbs as a type 1 and seeing better glucose numbers. You as a type 2 has been able to. I was, pre-diabetic and was able to do more of a seasonal approach and ultimately lower that A1C and lower that fasting insulin. So
Yeah.
it truly does end up and make a difference for anyone that is watching. Lower, vitamin D, higher risk of um, diabetes, insulin resistant, metabolic dysfunction if you're consuming things like a banana in the middle of wintertime.
Yeah. Well, and this is gonna so I'm gonna take what Becky said and I'm gonna apply it to what's going on with me right now.
Mhm.
So the past 2 weeks, I've had a project that I'm on that literally I'm teaching enormous number of classes during the day for long periods of time. I can't even drink water like I normally do because I cannot get up and use the facilities at all. So water intake has been way down. Being out in the sun has been way down. Um, Using my red light has been almost nil. Um, and plus the stress of this particular project that I'm on, very high stress. I have literally, wearing this CGM, seen my numbers high, very, very high. I know exactly what's causing it. It's still frustrating because still have the rest of this week of it. I have 7 classes I have to teach tomorrow. And then 6 on Wednesday, 6 on Thursday, and 6 on Friday. So I I do drink water in the evening, but I still have to watch how much I'm drinking because then I'll be up all
Mhm.
night, right? So, but I'm telling you, you and I talked about this last week. I'm thirsty. My body knows I'm not getting enough water.
Mhm. Well, and that's where, even before we hit go live tonight, right? We
Hmm.
discussed earlier today, and some of these things that you've been doing
Yes,
that help with lowering the blood sugar, and that's where I, call them non-negotiables. But how can we end up when we structure them into your day so that they can help?
right.
Um, Not everything, the busy person, right? We end up when we talk
Yeah.
to many clients that we end up coaching, and I get the same thing. Well, but I'm busy. How do I do this when I have to work? How do I do this when the kids are home during the summer and things are crazy? Um, and I get it. It's just adjusting that schedule a little bit, and what works, right? You know that your red light
Absolutely.
works, you know that your breath
Absolutely.
works,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
and maybe it's, we got to start putting this in smaller increments. Um so that you can still get that benefit, because a lot of these basic things truly end up in help.
Yeah. And I mean, you said to me today, well, why don't you have your red light on? Well, because I had 5 minutes, 6 minutes left, my little break, which wasn't long. I was sitting outside when we were talking, but I didn't have enough time to go hang my red light up get underneath it and do anything before I had to start my next class. So, but I at least was outside, right? I'm trying to get out there, even if it's 5, 10 minutes in between time where I run to the facilities and then run outside. Um, yeah, I mean, I have to figure something out because my blood sugar numbers are high again. And I'm eating breakfast within I'm an hour upon actually less. It's about 30 minutes upon waking because the sun ain't up yet. So I'm eating
Okay.
breakfast, then going outside to see the sunrise. But there are still things that's not happening like it was before. Um, I'm going to be ready when this week is over for this particular project to be done. And I'm going to be a little more choosy about the projects I pick from here on out because they are non negotiable. And I'm not able to do these certain things. Including even drink water, which is utterly ridiculous. I feel for teachers, right? Where
Mhm.
they don't have anybody to relieve them of the classroom. Um, but when I have um, I think one day last week I had like an hour and a half break. Um, you kept hearing my hydrogen water go off, and I was sitting there consuming hydrogen water because I was so thirsty. It's just crazy um, what these non-negotiables are that we talk about and how really important they are, how they become so um yeah, I don't even know how to because I'm seeing the results of not doing it, which in a way is a good test, right? All it's doing is confirming that I have to do it, or else I can't.
Mhm.
I'm going to keep seeing these high blood sugar numbers. I don't like it. So, anyway, but speaking of blood sugar numbers,
That's just what I was gonna say.
so yeah, I'm wearing the CGM and we got home yesterday early enough. I think it was about we got done about 5. We got back to our travel trailer from working out on the property. And um so bless her heart, she's one of my best friends. Now they run the RV park. She knows that we have to use a community laundry room, and the toxic laundry soap, fabric softener, fabric sheets that people use. And I haven't used it. My husband can't handle smells, so we've never used. I use dryer balls for my fabric sheets. That stuff is permeated, the smells, those into these machines. Now, she runs a cleaning cycle for me. She runs vinegar through it. We try to get it as clean as possible. There it's not. And then so anyway, so I was doing laundry last night to get it done because I can't get it done during the week. And I went over to get the last load and I have this wagon. So my husband bought me this little canvas wagon so I can put the whole all my dirty clothes in the laundry basket in my wagon with my soap, with my dryer balls, and and I roll it across the way to the laundry room. So I opened the door to come out with my little wagon behind me, and there was a dog standing there. And when I tell you it scared me, I screamed. And here's why, right? Everybody's like, it's a dog, Sherry. Like, why? Well, the RV park that we're out in the country and you can hear coyotes. Very, very close. In fact, we've seen them run on the in the field beside us. We've seen them. You can hear them. Like it'll make you sit up and take notice when you hear them howling. They're close. So That and there's a resident skunk out here. So I'm always on the lookout for things. And I walked out, I opened the door, and this dog was standing there, and I screamed. And of course, the poor dog took off running. And I got back to my travel trailer and I called my friend who runs the RV park, who lives next to us. And I said, "Did you hear me scream?" And she says, "No, why?" And I told her what happened. Dogs are supposed to be on leashes, number one. And so she's like, she texts the people, but here's what happened. I checked my blood sugar. And when I tell you fight or flight is real, I watched that jack up 12 points like that.
Mhm.
12 points, fight or flight. And I had to sit outside for a few minutes and I did some breathing exercises. And then as soon as I did that, I was able to get the blood sugar to come back down. And what did I say to you today? I said flight or fight. Fight or flight is very real. I seen it in the numbers.
Mhm. And that's where many people are in that state chronically, right?
Yes.
Their body is so in this sympathetic nervous system. It's on like overdrive, it's overactive, and it leads
Hmm.
to stress, anxiety,
Hmm.
fatigue, I mean, obviously metabolic dysfunction, right? And gut issues.
Yep.
Um, because anytime we are in this chronic neither one of us can talk tonight, chronic stress state, the blood sugar is going to go up, the blood sugar's up, the insulin's up, which means fat storing hormones are, free
Yep.
flowing in the body. Well, also anytime that cortisol is up, it's going to interfere with our sleep at night, and so we're not
Mhm.
going to end up and be able to get that sleep. And that's one of the biggest things that I end up and I work with clients on is the nervous system, grounding,
Right.
getting out in the sunlight, doing the grounding, being connected with nature. It does help to shift out of this response into that parasympathetic. And I get very passionate about it because that's also what leads, to the Hashimoto's when your adrenals are so tanked because you've done
Mhm.
all this.
Mhm.
Box breathing can be wonderful. You said you sat outside and you did the box breathing. That can be
Yep.
wonderful to help
Yep.
control this response. And many times, if people, even just through the day, I mean, like I said, I can't tell you how many times with a client I've said, when you sit down to eat a meal, if you're eating 3 meals a day, when you sit down to eat a meal, just do a couple rounds of, breathe in, hold, and then exhale. Do that a couple times before you end up and you eat, because your body needs to be in that digestive state, not,
Yeah.
up running and grabbing a meal and eating on the go. But there's so many of these, non-negotiables. Morning sunlight, getting the bare eyes and the skin and, the feet connected regulates the cortisol and the melatonin. So, there's singing, humming, tapping, any of that
Mhm.
activates, the vagus nervous system,
Right.
so it reassures the body that it's safe.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and no, these aren't, expensive supplements or,
Nope.
anything along those lines that you have to take. It's free things that you can end up and do if
Yeah.
you just end up and take the couple minutes. And that's where even, on your work day, being able
Mhm.
to after, each teaching session, I know you said you had 7 of them tomorrow, after or before, taking, even
Yeah.
just 5 minutes before you start or 5 minutes when you're done and doing one of these,
Yep.
breathing techniques. Um, like I said, no matter whether it's box breathing or the 478 breathing or, you know,
Right.
whatever technique of breath work. I know Kevin has taught us several in the BNC community, and I have a great one that I have to upload because it's so motivational that I mean it was wonderful the other night. Um, it was
Yeah. So in the BNC community, we have a coach who teaches breath work. And it's amazing. I don't know. I'm sure everybody's heard me 100 times say how much I can see my when I wear a CGM and I do those breath works, or even I do the meditation with the yoga and things like that. I mean, my biggest jump has been 27-point drop in my blood sugar. It was
Mhm.
free. Like, so and yes, and another thing that I am doing while I'm sitting there is I am connected, I am grounded. So, is it earthing.com?
Mhm.
uh, that I got a grounding strap. It's plugged in. The travel trailer's grounded. I tested the outlet. I know that I'm grounded. I literally sat there with this strap on, so I'm at least grounded while while I'm chained to my desk, having to teach. So it's just I know that there needs to be more, and I have to figure out exactly how I'm gonna get it all in this week. And I may not be able to get it all in. Let me tell you what, come Saturday, it's back in again. The project's over. And it was a good test, but it wasn't a good test because the amount of stress from the project alone drove my blood sugar up, and then the lack of doing the beyonds drove my sugar up and kept it up. And I was literally, and I didn't even tell you this, Becky, my morning dawn effect used to in the past keep going up and up and up till like noon, 1 o'clock. It's back to doing that. Now it's not noon, 1 o'clock. It's about 10, 11 o'clock, but I know what it's all contributed to. Is how, and speaking of sleep, right? After the dog and I scared each other last night, this was 8 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
And I was in bed by 9 and I could not shut down. I had my red lens blue blockers on. You know, but that was enough of a fight or flight response that it did keep me a little I didn't go to sleep till, probably after 10, which
Mhm.
is very unlike me anymore.
Mhm. Well, and that's where creating that secondary cortisol response,
Right.
and now would it have made a difference if, you did like some somatic work, some journaling, some, tapping, some, something along those lines so that the mind and the body
Mhm.
was, rewiring the stress
Mhm.
response.
What I ended up doing when I noticed I wasn't gonna go to sleep right away is I turned on, some meditation music,
Mhm.
um, and Uh, I laid there and meditated. So relaxed my body, and I was able to dive into that. So finally, when it was a little after 10 o'clock, I was ready to finally fall asleep. Now I slept all night until I woke up. I didn't wake up in the middle of the night or anything like that. But yeah. So and that's a free thing too, listening to meditative music, or the different hertz. There's different hertz out there that you can listen to for sleep and for, um, help me with this, sleep and
The calming aspect. And one of the things that I will
yeah,
say, if you're going to listen to that type of sound frequencies, having more of like a white noise machine going, it's best to like download the music and then put your phone on airplane mode so it's not
correct.
constantly pulling that.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I know you're aware, but speaking to
yeah,
the
yeah,
people that
yeah,
are watching us,
yeah,
because you don't want that electronic device by your bed
correct.
and constantly, emitting. Um, I know my daughter has a white noise machine that she ends up and uses, but it's literally across the room. So it's, not right there by the head of her bed, drawing that in. So like I said, there are things like that that, you know, can be useful. Um, it's just the consistency of using them.
Well, let's continue on the sleep. So you have had some sleep issues as well.
Yeah, there's some nights where I say I don't know which is worse when the two different T phases that children end up and go through, toddler and teenagers, and I said, I'm not sure which is worse when they're toddlers and not sleeping or when they're teenagers and, stay up late and have things going on that disrupt sleep. But that's where, yes, we talk about consistency and there's going to be life that happens,
Mhm.
right? But I also don't let it dictate my following day. So um there's times where speaking of teenagers interrupting,
Oh, did one walk in the room?
yeah, um there there's times where they will end up and be out late, whether it's, one of them out babysitting or whether it's the other one out doing his thing. Um and I'm the type of mom that I may doze off, but I'm not getting that sound sleep. And I still use my Aura ring. And there's times where, my readiness and my sleep will end up and give me two crowns. And there's times where I won't. I mean, I've sent you, the screenshots of them, but that's life. And
Right.
no, I don't necessarily post it, on social media every day. But even as someone that is very consistent with it, I recover really well.
Mhm.
I had
Mhm.
poor night's sleep Saturday, but then last night it was, I think, like a 92, so the recovery side of that, but where it happens day after day after day, you're playing
Right.
night owl, you're not getting to bed.
Mhm.
Um, I was reading April's comment. Hum happy songs every chance you get. As Becky said, it is an easy ad, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, but it's really working on that recovery because the body is smart. It
Yeah.
has the ability to recover very quickly if we just end up and utilize the tools that we have.
Right, right. And basically, what Becky and I are saying is look, we're not perfect either, right? Life happens to us as well. Um, but we're also hopefully giving you guys tools that we work with because life happens and what we do to combat that life, like the life things like Becky with her teenagers, and I don't have teenagers. I have I'm married to Santa Claus, but that's a whole different another that's a different podcast. No.
Yeah,
But no.
that's that's a whole episode in and of itself.
Oh my goodness. No, I mean, I joke, but the fact is we're in a 32-foot travel trailer. We both work from home. We work inches from each other. He looked at me last week and said, I am tired of you talking. I talked all day. I trained all those classes. And he said, I don't want to hear you talk anymore. He wasn't real nice about it, um, which is
Yeah.
why I'm up here. I was up here last week. And the thing is I need to give him his space and his downtime. The poor man is sitting there listening to me teach these classes and repeat the same stuff. I mean, I get to a certain point and I make a little ha ha joke. Oh, this is one of my favorite tools, and I go into it and I got done with that class and he turns around and goes, "Those are one of my favorite tools." You know? we but you know what? I have to respect him too because when I get on these our lives, right? He's usually sitting behind me. He takes his hearing aids out. He can't turn TV on. He feels like he can't get up behind me. And so I compromised and I came up to the RV office,
The office.
and right, and I'm by myself. It's closed, so I can go ahead and do this. So I can at least give him his space in the evening when we do these on Monday nights. It's a give and take. But I'll tell you what, it is a stressful situation sometimes, because when you work together, you live in a 32-foot travel trailer, and then you go out to your property and work together. There's not a lot of downtime. He actually went out to the property tonight, and I said, "Stay as long as you would like." And he said, "Are you
Mhm.
tired of me?" And I said, "No, just you need to go. You need to get out in the sunlight and nature, and you need to, um, and I think, but again, it's like, what kind of stress is that causing on the body, right? What kind of stress, if you do work with your spouse all the time, what kind of stress is that under? You work together, you live together, you sleep together, and there needs to
Mhm.
be some other avenues of things as well. Um, and so that adds to, right, the cortisol. That adds to my blood sugar numbers. I mean, my blood sugar numbers weren't too hot last Monday night when he told me he was tired of hearing me talk. Um, I was frankly tired of hearing me talk, but it was like I still love doing the our
Mm.
podcast, and that's not something I wanted to give up, so I compromised on it. But that's my point, if you have a little little tiff with your significant other, it's causing, right, things to happen. Um, so it's life. I get life. But what can you do for life, right? And these are the tools that we're trying to give people and hopefully help them out as well as ourselves.
Yep, absolutely. So, on that note, does anyone have any questions in regards of what we talked about tonight? Feel free to put it in the chat. I know we've got people watching and listening over on Instagrams, Facebooks, and here on YouTube. We appreciate you. Make sure you do leave us comments if you don't have any questions.
All right. That looked like spam.
Yeah, I was trying to read that. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Someone put
So,
something in the chat that it was like, "That didn't make sense. I think it's spam." Anyway, that's okay.
hey,
Um,
we welcome you too, spammers.
yeah.
It all helps, but
Too funny. Oh,
but
shoot. I
all
love
right.
it.
Well,
All
well
right.
then,
Well,
friends, I don't see comments coming in or
nope.
anything besides whatever that may have been. Um, we appreciate you. We'll be live again Monday. If anyone has a topic that you'd like us to discuss, or we will be doing a roundtable discussion with all of the BNC coaches sometime coming up in here in the future. So let us know what you would like us coaches to kind of give our perspectives on too. You can always submit that or comment below the videos, and that will
And don't
be
forget
discussed.
to like, subscribe. And we've also put other videos out on YouTube that you can watch. Becky's been putting out some of her workout videos. So you can view those. I need to upload some of mine as well. That might happen next week. We do have a blog that we both write to. So if you go to bncommunity.com, you can read our blogs as well. So we're trying to, um, hit all avenues. There are people that aren't on social media, so we want to, get them with the blog, and so they can hear the topics that we're talking about. So anyway, but we really do appreciate you tuning in. Um, this is something both Becky and I do out of our passion to help people. We are making no money. We're not sponsored by anyone or anything like that. So again, we are very grateful for you.
We are, and we will be live every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
So, see you all next week.